So now I'm here with Ryan Gill, and I'm super excited to welcome you to the Virtual Being Summit and to chat a little bit about the open metaverse. Maybe tell folks a little bit about your work and about how we might make the metaverse a little bit more open.
Yeah, thanks, brother. It's cool to be a part of this. I've attended the last couple ones you've done, living in LA, and the world is very different now, very quickly, and you've been a pioneer when it comes to a lot of the sort of virtual beings language and concepts and everything. So I want to acknowledge you for that work, and it's great to be here.
Yeah.
And we get to do it in one of these things.
That was sort of the idea. I think that's kind of my
I mean,
fun for you.
the last time I feel like every time you go into Crypto Voxels, it's like exponentially grown more and more. It's like being collectively created by all these people in the community. It's very cool.
It is pretty cool, right? I was impressed.
Yeah, so I have a company. It's called Crucible. It's really around a personal thesis that I shaped for myself. 10 years in LA working with almost across all innovation, really. I worked a lot with a gentleman named Peter Diamandis. I lived in Japan as well, and just sort of all these years of my experience kind of shaped up this idea that I had on where things were going. And then I immediately kind of made a company because I wanted an action plan from it, and so this thesis was the open metaverse. So if you've heard open metaverse, really that's come from us. And the only other people that were really talking about it when I was in 2018 was Tim Sweeney. And it was him on the sort of keynote of SIGGRAPH, talking about standardization and all these things. The way I've shaped it up is really to bring it into the Web3 sort of native world of decentralization, really embracing the standards that have been shaped up around identity and commerce. And so, in 2018, I created this company. It was several years until anyone knew what the hell I was talking about. So I really kind of got it off the ground and funded it all myself, until finally finding groups like Outlier Ventures in London and really beginning to kind of create the tribe of people that saw this future. Fast forward now, we've gone through a global pandemic. Jamie has made Outlier Ventures really the accelerator or the Y Combinator for the open metaverse. And, we've planted a lot of seeds. I've put a lot of effort into this many years, and have since also created an association in Zug, Switzerland called Openmeta. And so we've done the first round, and that will become a DAO in January around the same time that we release our product.
Super interesting. Yeah, I didn't know about that. And when we talk about the open metaverse, are we thinking a lot about the kind of technical work to maybe not tie things together, but create a little bit of persistence across the metaverse, a little bit of kind of connectivity between the metaverse? Like, how do you think about that, and kind of what Matthew Ball has been talking about with kind of the total lack of persistence as it is today in the metaverse?
Yeah, so I think what Matthew's done extremely well is give a megaphone to the sort of vision that Tim Sweeney has been shaping up with his team for many years. As like an analyst with media and really understanding the entertainment industry, he was able to kind of shape this vision that Tim and his team have had, and really kind of get it into the hands and the minds of a lot of people in the industry. And I think from my perspective, I have my own sort of very strong opinions on this, but I really define the metaverse as the internet built by game developers. We've gone through two big waves now of the internet, mainly web and mobile, and now this time it's going to start to become much more sort of game-like. And so with my company, we go to where the game developers are in the engines. And we build tools for that. But I think the only way to Web3 is through decentralization. And it's really important that we stand our ground on that, because it's likely that there will be a Web2 interpretation of this concept of metaverse. Facebook and big tech are going to surely go for it, right? They've already announced that. But the most interesting things are going to happen where you can be rewarded, where you can own the things that you contribute, and where the community drives it, you know.
Mm.
And so I just don't see a future in which closed beats open. I think all the talent,
No.
all the excitement is going towards the open side of things. So when I say open, it's really just about building all of this on the sort of protocols and standards that we see in the open source communities.
Mm. Well, let's keep flying around until we see something that might catch our eye. Well, you know, I guess for me, watching Epic and Apple, it's felt as though at a certain point, the decentralized metaverse is going to come into conflict with the centralized metaverse. And so it almost felt like there were two phases coming, where we can go to this castle, where at the very beginning, you've got Epic and Apple fighting over, you know, does the metaverse exist? And then you'll have Sandbox and Decentraland and Crypto Voxels fighting with Epic and actually Tim Sweeney. It does seem a little different because I think there's so much respect for Tim in the entire industry. It's not, I can't see that anyone is like, oh, he's so clueless, he doesn't understand stuff, even though he clearly is a little bit negative about NFTs. Do you sort of see the centralized metaverse including Fortnite and those worlds? And do you think ultimately there will be a clash between things like Sandbox and Decentraland and Crypto Voxels and things like Fortnite, or how do you see that kind of playing out?
Well, it depends. We're really early, and some big tech is embracing open source, you know, Microsoft and Twitter, and there are like these Web 2.5 companies that are really building the bridges towards it, because big tech has by far the economy of scale. You know, there's just way more people using what is now centralized. And so even though the sort of decentralized stuff is very exciting, it's very nascent, and it's still, the numbers just don't even come close. But where decentralized Web3 wins is the passion in the communities. I don't see any passionate communities for Facebook. You know, I see billions of users, and I see people that are even addicted, for sure. You know, a couple of days ago, we just went down and people were scratching at their skin. But I don't see the kind of passion that you see in Bored Apes or Crypto Voxels or Artifact, right? Like these native brands that have been built from community, you know, from the ground up. There's just so much passion, and it's life-changing for people who are involved. And I just think that is something that big tech and big brands can't do. You know, I talk to big brands every day, from luxury to consumer products to anything you can imagine, and they all have metaverse on their minds and lips, and yet they can't do what they're watching everyone else do in the Web3 community. It's not a natural thing for them, you know. So that is where I think the people were the front runners this time, before the brands, before the institutions, and that's maybe the first time it's ever happened. So it's exciting, and I think, you know, when you talk about like Epic, for example, Tim just basically sacrificed mobile Fortnite for a better ecosystem for developers, a more healthy ecosystem of competition. So if he's willing to do that, the outcome of that lawsuit was not that Tim won, it was that developers won, whether they use Unreal or not. Now, as the CEO of a billion-dollar corporation, in which is 40% owned by Tencent, like, of course he's going to have some constraints. Of course he's going to want the Unreal Engine to be preferred. But, you know, I think the behavior that we just saw from him, and the reflection in the tweets that he really makes public, the fact that he's somewhat cynical on the sort of the downside, or the underbelly of crypto and NFTs, just means he's being a responsible CEO of a company that, you know, sells $9 billion of skins, digital assets, every 2 years. That's a big responsibility. So I think he's much more aware and much more switched on to the sort of network architecture change that's happening. And I think he needs to have the responsibility of thinking a little bit more deeply about the speculative side of it.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. And this is a very beautiful dragon portal, which I've never actually visited before. Well, tell us a little bit about what you can about Crucible, and what kinds of products you guys want to build, or is products the right word? Like what kind of connective tissue you want to build, or how do you want to move forward with it?
Yeah, so that's I think I lost you. Where'd you go? It's a good word, connective tissue. The sort of suite of products I'm starting with is called Emergence. And that comes in the form of SDKs for game engines. So we will be on Unity and we will be on Unreal. And it creates tooling for, on-chain decentralized development to be made easy for game developers. And there's this business model that's shaping up in gaming that I think will absolutely be world changing, which is called play to earn.
Yeah, of course.
And this concept of, there's just billions of people that play games, and there's publishers that create these games that make a lot of money. And the players are always the ones that are contributing the value to these worlds. And play to earn has used sort of all this Web3 tech to shift it so that players individually are rewarded for what they're contributing to these worlds. And we're sort of in the Angry Birds phase with a game called Axie Infinity. And in the Philippines, while everyone was losing their sort of jobs to COVID, there's a community in the Philippines that has really made a very healthy living playing this game. And so this game, Axie Infinity, has sort of created this emergence for guilds. There's something called the Yield Guild, which is now organized this community so that, the value of these assets can grow, and there could be assets rented out to people who can't afford to buy them to play the game. And it's really just this incredible sort of decentralized finance mechanism. And what we want to do is introduce this into game engines and bring this to AAA quality experiences. Game developers who know how to create games that billions of people spend a lot of time and money in, they should also, be thinking about this model where each player can be rewarded, because again, the player is the most important piece for all of this. So our SDK really kind of brings in new identity on authentication, brings wallet integration and Web3 sort of infrastructure into the game engine, which, believe it or not, just does not exist. I have to build new integration libraries for all of these different sort of compatible programming languages. It just doesn't exist, and it's never been done. So we're very, very early.
Yeah, what's like a real world example that maybe a year from now might be possible because of some of these SDKs that you guys are working on, or 18 months or whatever is a reasonable time frame, which would be kind of a tangible example that people at the summit could be like, oh shit, like that's really cool, like that would really help.
Yeah, so I have not shared this idea publicly, but I'll do it here. There's a sort of go-to-market strategy that I'm shaping up in which I call it on-chain events. And so our product will enable game developers to create these on-chain events. And if you look at games like Fortnite, they're very event sort of centric, right? There's seasonal worlds that change. I believe that we're moving from open worlds to living worlds. And these worlds are sort of constantly changing, and they're serialized in the different new things that are introduced. So if you look at like Fortnite with Travis Scott or Ariana Grande, or you look at Roblox with 21 Pilots or Lil Nas X, right? These are events. And so what we want to do is make it so one of these events can be on chain, right? And the developer doesn't need to shift everything over to the blockchain. But this 1 week in the game, we have a play to earn moment, and we're minting things on chain. And then beyond that week, they could live on the secondary market of OpenSea, and we can actually compare the spending and the revenue we're seeing from that 1 week compared to the last quarter. And that's the kind of metrics I think we really need to pull out of this.
And I like that it's not all or nothing. It's kind of like, here are these events. That's really, really smart. And it's like a taster that can sort of incept some of these play to earn mindsets. Here, let's go over. I'm just seeing on the map the artifact space. So why don't we go and check that out? Do you see that on the map in your bottom right? Fly over it.
I'll just follow you.
Yeah, just follow me. I don't think I've actually ever been in there, but obviously they are some of the greats when it comes to NFTs, and also speaking at the summit. Yeah, I think I've walked past here. Yeah, I mean, what a complete fool I am not to have purchased these damn sneakers. Yeah, I
got
still
a
haven't
couple
met
pairs,
people.
and I'm excited
No,
for the clone.
you did
drop.
not. No.
Yeah,
Oh
I got
my God.
I ended up getting
No.
the Fuo shoes because I love both of them.
Oh, the few issues. Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, these damn things. Well, I'm talking about these CryptoPunk ones, you know, where they like generated them off the CryptoPunk and it had your CryptoPunk on it.
Yeah.
But then I keep going to festivals and I don't think many people have them yet because maybe the forging. So I'm not feeling total shame, but I mean, my God, the next time I'm at like some kind of EDM concert at 1 a.m. and I look down and see that their shoes are CryptoPunk shoes, I'm just tears will be streaming down my face. Fortunately, I'm usually in bed by 9 p.m. So I guess that's not going to be such a problem. But yeah, I mean, I think these folks do a terrific job on it, and they're obviously completely Web3. But I love the way that you're thinking about it as almost it's an on-ramp such that, you know, some game developers can go from Web 2 to Web 2.1 to 2.2 to 2.3 to it's kind of you're almost building. I don't know if you're familiar with Rabbit Hole, that like has these little quests like teaching people about crypto. It's almost like that for games and game developers and teaching them.
And you
showing them shit like make more revenue then. Like, so cool, man.
Exactly. And you dial in on a lot of the language that I use, like on ramp and connected tissue.
Look at this. It's very, very sweet. Well, cool, man. I have one question from the audience, and then we'll move on to the next speaker. Gosh, it's very disturbing over here. Yeah, the question is when we expect to see Crucible's first products. I guess somebody who's enthusiastic to start using them.
Yeah, so if you go to my Substack, which is .openmetaverse, I just posted a sort of update. We're in preseason, and the roadmap puts us to about a January 31st goal for the release. So that will be the SDK as a very first iteration, which will do sort of identity authentication, wallet management, and connection socially. I'm also minting DAO membership around that same week.
Now, does that mean that you'd sort of buy an NFT that would represent that you were a member of the DAO?
No, so I've done the first round of the DAO. So there's about 50 participants. I haven't said their names publicly. I'll do a few here. So it's Animoca, it's Polygon, Engine, Dapper Labs, Spartan, Yield Guild, and 50 total. So these are the first. This is the first membership. The minting of the token will create that membership. I won't list it on an exchange immediately, and we'll launch product and begin the open beta of it and kind of build more of a story with the kinds of integrations that we're doing and the partnerships that we'll be announcing. But everybody can expect by the end of January, we will be sort of in the market in the earliest stage, and it'll be available for you if you're a game developer.
You mean it would be a fungible token like FWB or something like that?
Yes, we've created a fungible governance token. Yes.
That's very cool. And then you'd need to kind of, well, you probably aren't ready to talk about the specifics of like needing to hold X number or something like that, but that's super cool, man. I think that's super exciting. Have you got a name for this token, or is that something that's all under wraps right now?
Maybe, or? I haven't confirmed it, but I'll tell you where I'm leaning. Just I'm very open. This is all about plotting in the open. So I draw a lot of inspiration from mycelium, which is a natural information network under the ground of nature. Basically, it's where mushrooms grow from. And one single node on mycelium is called a hypha. And so I think I want to call the token the hypha. Yeah,
that is a great thought, and we won't hold you to it if you come up with another idea. But that's a really cool name. thank you so much for taking time today at the summit, and yeah, super excited to see that coming out, and getting my own hypha. That's so cool. Thanks, man.
Thank you, man. Thanks for being such an important part of the community, both in the
Thank
macro
you.
sense and also mine.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to join my community, it's Telegram, t.me/openmetaverse.
Yeah.
I will be moving everything to our own product, where we're doing sort of governance and voting and proposals. But for now, we have about 1,200 people, 1,200 of the right people in this Telegram. And if you're interested, please come.
Yeah. All right. I'm part of it, so I can heartily agree. Thanks so much, and speak to you soon.
Thank you.